we might have different kind of golf backgrounds or different abilities in golf, but I don't really see any golfer that this wouldn't be useful for, in a sense of everyone's got to use their body and rotate in their golf swing.
We help people with ideas get them to revenue.
All right, welcome to another edition of 52 Launch Podcast. Again, this is our client series where, we get to introduce a new product that's going to launch or is launched right now and just talk about where it came from. So it is the product called Panda Golf, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Nick Pandelena and my company is Panda Golf, and this year we're coming out with my product called the Sling Trainer. I'm a professional golfer and I'm a golf instructor, so yeah, this is a pretty big passion of mine. Played competitive golf for a long time. Started coaching in 2020. And this has been kind of a culmination of a lot of things that I've learned over a long period of time.
The Sling Trainer is intended to help anyone learn the proper footwork and body mechanics to be able to make a proper golf swing.
And I will tell you, I remember meeting you the first time when you came in, what you learned is completely different than everything I'd seen. And you can imagine we get thousands of phone calls in the golf space about stuff that, supposed to help and do this and do that. But when you showed us and demonstrated your idea, I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Sure.
So,
yeah, I was really excited with the beginning of the idea myself, but to see your guys' excitement as well, kind of at least validate a little bit of what I thought the Sling Trainer could be.
Yeah. Well, look, after doing this 10 years, I can tell you what thousands of bad ideas look like.
Sure.
And so by virtue, I can tell you this is a really incredible idea. But why don't you kind of explain the origin of the idea and then where it progressed? So what does the Sling Trainer do?
Sure. So it's a potentially long-winded answer, but the Sling Trainer is basically a resistance-driven harness that is intended to help golfers and athletes really learn how to rotate their body effectively.
Yeah, that's not a problem in golf, right?
Yeah, so everyone's kind of always looking for ways to use their body differently or better, or find different ways to be able to train. And the Sling Trainer is hopefully going to be a tool for a lot of players that they can simplify really what their body has to be responsible for.
Well, and that was the part. You said long-winded. Actually, that was a perfect pitch, because the mechanics that you introduced to us in the beginning is very long, but extremely sensical. Again, there was a lot of research that went into this.
Sure. And so really where it came from was, this could potentially be a long-winded answer, but the short story is really I read a book called Anatomy Trains by Dr. Thomas Myers, and he basically laid out in the book, your muscles and tendons that work together in certain ways and certain patterns to create certain movements. One of the ones he lines out in the book is called the spiral line, and that's really responsible for rotation. So it's kind of a wide-ranging connection of muscles and tendons and tissue and myofascial tissue, and I'm certainly no expert on some of the science behind it, but the book laid a lot of it out really clearly, and that kind of spurred me on to kind of think a little bit about how is that used in the golf swing, and eventually led to really through a conversation with a friend of mine, another professional, Nick Pandelena. We had kind of been just bouncing some ideas back and forth with some rubber bands, and I happened to then just kind of make my own first prototype and rig together some bands and some straps, and I think that's what I showed you guys at the first meeting. And that basically traced the spiral line, and at the time on our first meeting, a bunch of other lines as well, but through the whole process of this, been able to kind of simplify it and streamline it to where it's a little bit more effective to use. At first, it was very complicated, but over time, it got a little bit more simple. So,
well, I think that's the part that, again, when we saw but the essence of what it does was basically help you feel something you can internalize to get a consistency in your rotation or in your swing. Is that correct?
Correct. So yeah, the real basis is learning how to rotate, and using it effectively kind of allows the golfer to both feel and do that and train them to do that. So, and this will be, available in some of the instructional videos as well as far as how to use it. But some of the cues, even just at setup, really allow players and golfers to get into a consistent setup position.
Yeah.
And then from there, be able to use that solid setup position to be able to rotate and move their body effectively. So the bands are really there for resistance. And I think a lot's come out in the training world and, over a long period of time, and just how important resistance training is, not only as an athlete, but just even as a human being. So I think overall the resistance training aspect of it, I think really helps athletes and golfers improve their motion.
Yeah, I mean, resistance training is probably the hot topic of keywords today, but in your case, it's a resistance in motion.
Yes.
So you're feeling,
And the nice thing about the sling trainer is you can use it in a bunch of different ways, meaning you can hit balls with it. You can use it at home, not hitting balls. You can use it in the gym. And it's really intended to help players move better. So I think it's nice to be able to have something that you can use while you're actually hitting the golf ball. That way you're getting some pretty direct feedback on how you're hitting it, how the ball's flying. But then it's not always feasible to either get to the golf course, get to the driving range, or be able to practice it all the time. So to be able to have a tool that you can use both at the golf course and away from the golf course, I think becomes a pretty useful thing for a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at every time you watch a professional golfer at the tees, or you're watching, a pro tournament, the elegance of the shot is just like, it's not mechanical. It looks just so fluid. It's just like, and so that part, I would assume, and again, I golf, but I've got a degenerate disc in the back, so I don't swing the power, but I assume that the core, that's the core, the alignment that you have to have consistent before anything else would be what you're talking about here.
Yeah, very much so. Both your posture and a little bit of how you use your feet and how you set up your stance really affects a lot of then how you swing. To your point, when you watch a lot of good players or a lot of good ball strikers hit, there's this really fluid snap, and that kind of leads to how we got to the name of the sling trainer. There's kind of this sling-like motion where there almost seems to be some elasticity in the body.
Yeah.
And a lot of powerful, good hitters of the golf ball. So that's where the ability to be able to load and stretch the band, just like you're loading and stretching the tissue underneath your skin, really allows you to then snap into the ball and create some speed and energy, but in a fluid way.
Yeah, well, it's body mechanics. Sure. All right. So, and again, if you're elongating and you're doing that, so
yeah,
when you came to us, your dad was a big part of this as well.
Yeah.
I always give him a lot of kudos for supporting what he saw in you and helping be a very active part of this.
Yeah, no, my whole family's been very supportive.
Yeah. And look, I say that because in the entrepreneur world, and I said at the beginning of this, before we started the podcast, you've graduated from being an inventor and now you're an entrepreneur. And I try and teach other entrepreneurs what you've learned along the way.
Sure.
And to really think with an entrepreneur mindset first. Yeah. Inventors are great, but if you're not thinking about the end result and how it works, you're really just making a product for yourself.
Sure. And you guys helped me a lot with that. I mean, when we first started talking and kind of first started our relationship, I really didn't know a whole lot about the process at all. I knew about maybe golf, and I knew about maybe what I wanted to do with the product or what I wanted it to look like, but I didn't really have a great idea of a lot of the things that would be at play. So I made that pretty clear from the start and tried to ask as many questions as I could. And you guys always were there to kind of help me out and give me some good answers as far as, designing the product. The original one that I had was a pretty ragtag model, and it was certainly a prototype.
I remember it looked like we had to help you strap it up. You needed an assistant at NASA to get into the suit.
Yeah, no, it was pretty complicated. There were quite a lot of bands and a lot of straps connected to each other, but, working with the design team and being able to kind of simplify that and make it into an actual product that can be used, it's pretty awesome.
Look, I felt it took longer than it normally would, but I think the details that we focused on were so important to the end product.
Agreed. Yeah, I kind of made it at least a priority to start. Was I wanted this to be something that was good and useful. I didn't want it to just kind of be a side project of sorts. I really wanted it to be something that was usable, durable, reliable, and really be a good tool for a lot of golfers. So,
Well, and you were born with the perfect brand name, so
sure, yeah,
heard that or
yeah, worked out perfect. Yeah, props to my dad on that. At the time, we kind of set up Panda Golf when I first turned professional, 2016. Maybe we didn't set it up till 2017, but one of those years. And at the time, I mean, I certainly didn't have any of this on my mind, and certainly didn't envision starting a product or really having a company in that case. But yeah, I've kind of come a long way since.
yeah. Well, I think when you're focused on golf, you're focused on golf.
Yeah, and that's been, it's
Yeah. So
a huge part of my life. If you talk to my family, they kind of know that and understand that, and they've always been great about that. So
well, your seriousness about the subject matter. Like there's people that are passionate and they're rah.
sure.
You're when you talk about golf, I could listen to you all day long because it's just so educational.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's I've always taken it pretty seriously. I've always taken sports pretty seriously. Obviously it's just a game, but I enjoy it. So
Right. So
I enjoy doing well, and I enjoy trying to win. So
no,
I try to take a lot of that into how I teach as well.
yeah. I mean, look, I always say that the athletes I grew up with in the 70s and 80s are not athletes. They were just people that had endurance or a certain skill set. Every sport today there's a mental aspect to the athleticism. There's a physical aspect. There's a lifestyle that's required. It's like very different than
Sure.
20 years ago. But
Yeah, you've got to be very organized. That's for sure.
yeah, you absolutely do. You absolutely do. So where do you see, like, who would need to buy this? Like, let's go into who's best suited to buy one. Can I just buy one and start learning this on my own?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think how I put it together based on a lot of anatomy things, they're things that you and I both have. So we might have different kind of golf backgrounds or different abilities in golf, but I don't really see any golfer that this wouldn't be useful for, in a sense of everyone's got to use their body and rotate in their golf swing. And underneath your skin, this is where everyone kind of has similar stuff. We just use it differently. So, um, in that case, I think this is useful for really all players of all levels and all abilities, whether you're just starting the game or whether you play at the highest level. I think both rotation and in some sense resistance training are really important.
So I remember one of the things that you said to me that really resonated is that those tendons and
Yeah, it's basically myofascial tissue that's connected all
Myofascial.
together. Yeah.
but those don't have we can't feel them, right? So
Sure.
so the rubber bands are basically let me know that they're there and I can feel when I'm making the rotation right.
Sure, exactly. Like they're not something that you would be acutely aware of. It's a lot easier to maybe be a little bit aware of like a singular muscle, like your bicep or something like
Right.
that. But to be able to mentally connect muscles and tendons and all sorts of things that are blended together across your entire body is a little bit unreasonable. But I think just by bringing attention to some of that with the sling trainer and based on how it's put on your body, it really does give you a good sense of both where rotation's coming from and what it feels like. I think one cool story that I've had from some testing and some stuff I'd done with some students already. I was out on the golf course. I always had a Wednesday morning playing lesson with a student, Todd Day, and we'd been working on rotation for a long time, and he was kind of struggling with it. Couldn't quite get the movement. Couldn't quite
Yeah.
feel it all the time. There'd be flashes of times on the golf course where he'd do it really well, and there'd be times where he'd kind of totally lose it, maybe. And he was trying to get a feel for it. And at the time, I kind of had a prototype, and we were working on this, and we were on the 11th hole actually, and this was after playing the previous week. It struggled a little bit on it, so I brought it out on the 11th tee. And this is at maybe like 7:15 in the morning. Some people learn a little bit better on the golf course. Some people learn a little bit better on the driving range. So we kind of always had this weekly 9-hole game or, play weekly 9 holes in the morning.
Right.
And so he tried it on the 11th tee and it kind of gave him a feel. He had some really good shots for the rest of the 9 holes. And he mentioned later, he was like, yeah, when I took the band off, it almost felt like I still had it on. I could feel what the motion felt like. And I think that was kind of a light bulb moment for both him and myself as far as,
I was going to say, when was that origin where you like, wait a minute, this isn't just something that's helping me. This is something that can help everybody. So that was it on the 11th.
that was one of them for sure. I mean, I had used it a lot myself and kind of kept it on the DL a little bit just because I actually felt like it could be something that was pretty useful and
Right.
could maybe become something. So I used it quite a bit myself, kind of in secrecy. And then I started using a little bit on students. And then, once I
I'm
saw,
not sure that was a secret if you were wearing that on the golf.
sure. Well, I got kind of two different looks. Either, hey, what's that? And
Right.
what's it doing? Or who's that lunatic over on the driving range? So I kind of got some funky looks for sure. I can remember when I came up with it, when I really kind of started to put it together, I was actually in Florida with my mom and was coming home from around, stopped at Dick's, grabbed some bands and grabbed some straps, and I kind of put it together really while I was down there. So that's kind of another little piece of how it started. But it's come a long way since then.
Yeah, you're 6'4". How
6'4", yeah.
6'4". Yeah, because so again, that version was very tall.
Yes.
Right now, we had to like take into account a lot of adjustability so that we could get. Did we end up having a one size fits all, or is there a couple of different? Sizes?
Yeah, for most adults, this size should be pretty good. The hope would be down the road to be able to have some more sizes that fit some more people, particularly smaller people. This is more of an adult size version.
Okay, so kids, you mean they're looking to play golf? Yeah.
Yeah, both either just younger people, smaller people, kids down the road. Hopefully we'll be able to have some more options. But yeah, for right now, just be kind of an adult model. But should kind of fit quite a range of heights. We kind of designed both the tension of the band and the length of the band to be able to fit someone of my size, but also fit someone of kind of more of a 5'5", 5'6" height. So
Yeah, look at anybody out there who doesn't understand manufacturing and one size fits all. The reason, clothing brands, think about this. I mean, they have to have a woman's size, a man's size, and then they have to figure out from double XL, XS to triple XL.
sure.
That is a huge amount of inventory to produce. And if you're just a little bit off on any one of those, you have inventory sitting around. So
Sure.
Again, I think that was our biggest challenge, was figuring out the one size fits all aspect from 6'4" down.
Yeah, it took a lot of just kind of trial and error, but we're kind of starting to experience a little bit of that as well, where we're going to have the sling trainer on the website. We're also going to have some apparel on the website.
Oh, cool. So I love the logo and the shirt and the panda.
Yeah, the logo came up.
You're fully branded.
Yeah, and so it'll be good to have that on the site, but yeah, we certainly kind of had to learn some things as far as the inventory side of things and what sizes to have, and what's going to be popular and that sort of thing. So,
well, and it's a learning curve, and again, we were, it's crawl, walk, run, right? You gotta let's get the product right first, and don't order too much of it, enough that we can get started, and then we can always make more.
Yeah.
Or adjust a couple of things that maybe need to be adjusted, or add another size.
Sure.
That's cool. I do remember, when we first met, there was something that really stuck, and again, I thought it was a very poignant learning moment. I think it was you that taught me that you're like that line of that. I don't want to use the word exoskeletal because it's an exotendinal.
Yeah,
product.
It's more of a connective tissue thing than it is.
Okay,
and that part of your skeleton. Yeah, connective tissue probably.
But it comes across your body and down. So from right shoulder to left leg or whatever, vice versa. That
it does. Yeah, there's kind of a cross body piece to it where one of the bands is going to be connected on the inside of your left foot, run all the way up your left hip, and then cross your body to your right shoulder. And then you have a band on the other side that is mimicking that, but just the opposite, right foot all the way to your left shoulder. But that's where there's a lot of coordination in the golf swing, and it's kind of this cross-body rotational movement that you've got to be able to kind of synchronize and put together to create both motion and speed and energy. So in that case,
that's the triple thing. I can never get enough energy on my hockey player, so I slap shots the biggest I can hit, and maybe that goes 180 yards.
Sure, and there's some similar things, but that's more of a waist-high level swing, whereas the golf swing is more of a chest level or head level swing. So that's where being able to have a little bit more, we'll say, strength, flexibility, and just rotational ability, at least in golf, goes a long ways as far as both hitting the ball solid and being able to create some height and distance through speed.
Yeah, and maybe I'm wrong, but to me, that when you explained that to me, that was like who would know that, right? So if you didn't read that book,
Sure.
I'm assuming that's where you learned that from.
Yeah, I would have otherwise really not known that.
So the cross, and there's a lot of cross. I mean, once you explain it to me, and I can watch it now, I watch every golfer swing, and I'm like, wow, that is just a great cross body mechanic.
Sure. And once you kind of see it and once you sort of feel it, it's one of those things that you either kind of can't unsee or you can't unfeel. It's kind of once it's made aware to you, it's kind of right there in front of you. So in that regard, that's another big piece of the sling trainer. And how would it help someone? I think just giving
that's the $1 million value proposition here.
Yeah, giving people awareness, I think, is a huge piece, because a lot of people will come into me for lessons and they might have an idea of what the ball does when they hit a bad shot, or they might have an idea of what they feel when they hit a bad shot. But at the end of the day, being able to have some real feedback and some things to actually pay attention to really creates awareness. It gives you an intent. And then your feedback means that much more. So I think that whole process.
Well, and look at the dangerous part of golf is the unawareness. Because when you pick up a bad habit in golf, it doesn't go away easily.
Totally. And I think a lot of people are, at times, certainly I feel this in lessons at times with students, but almost a little bit scared to be aware or feel certain things just because they don't want to overthink or they don't want to think about the wrong thing.
Well, that's how I was taught. Like, don't overthink it, right?
Sure.
Like, let your body do it. But like,
Sure.
Once you say that, I can't help overthinking it.
Exactly. And no matter what, you're going to kind of think about something. So, in that case, something like the sling trainer is really nice to be able to put your attention on. It grabs your awareness and gives you some awareness so that, when you then have to go to the range and do some practice, or you're on the golf course and you need to hit a shot, you have something that you can kind of feel or go to as far as a thought. And that's where hopefully it becomes a good awareness tool for a lot of people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, look at it, and I think you have look at golfers pay a lot of money to take a stroke off a game.
Definitely.
And I certainly, how many strokes does body mechanics equate to versus just choosing a wrong club or?
Yeah. I mean, certainly the game is important, picking the right club, picking the right target, making good decisions. But I think to be able to go out there and play effective, consistent golf, you've got to be able to hit the ball solid. Rotation is really a big part of hitting the ball solid and being able to have functional mechanics. And then, distance is certainly important in golf. I think at the highest level, it's really important.
Yeah.
I think in recreational golf, is it the most important thing? Probably not. I think hitting the ball solid and keeping the ball in play probably is. But I think if you can do that, distance becomes a huge, huge advantage or asset to your game. So in that case, again, rotation kind of helps you hit the ball solid, keep it in play. But it's also a big part of creating length to your swing, creating speed, hitting it high, hitting it far. And that really allows you to hit a lot of the effective golf shots you have to hit on the golf course where, off the tee, you want to be able to get the ball as close to the hole in play as you can. And then from there, you want to be able to control your contact and distance going into the green.
Nice. And so on that, you were also creating a whole series of videos that are be attached to this.
Correct. Yeah.
Are they on YouTube, or they're going to be, I'm assuming we'll put the website, or is that like as you go, it'll be a subscription?
So right now it'll probably end up just getting embedded on the site. Eventually, hopefully have a YouTube channel, and then be able to down the road have a little bit more advanced of a video series.
Okay.
And that'll be available for purchase, but that won't be something available right now, right away. But I think as we go and hopefully learn more, be able to then put together a little bit more in-depth series of, okay, this is how I need to use this. This is why I'm using it this particular way. And if I'm using it correctly, what are the really specific things that I might see or notice?
Okay. Yeah, look at that. Makes sense. And so, but you also train.
Yeah, I put a lot of time into my game. Really the first thing my mornings and, I get up pretty early, and the first thing, the first couple hours are really me getting my stuff done.
Yeah.
And then from there, I can kind of put my attention on whether it's lessons I have that day or whatever it might
Right. So
be.
you're training, then you go into lessons.
Yep.
And so, like, what kind of level? I mean, if my hack force and called you up, but we're not your client, right?
I've got a lot of everyone, really.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to have more.
You can make Alex and I look better on the golf course.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm starting to have some more kind of competitive tournament players. Certainly, as this is my 5th year teaching, so I've been able to build up a little bit of a clientele as I've gone here. I've kind of gotten busier each year. Being a competitive player and a tournament player, I really enjoy helping other competitive players, and that's really I love putting a lot of energy into that. But at the same time, it's been great to help beginners and a lot of different. At this point, over the 5 years, I've kind of seen. I don't want to say everything that I'm going to see, because I'm sure I'll see some stuff down the road that I haven't seen yet. But I've seen quite a few different things as far as age, ability, whatever it might be, and whether it be full swing, short game. Sometimes I feel like a sports psychologist at times with just the mental part of the game and how disorganized it can some people can get, and myself included. So yeah, it's a pretty big responsibility.
If it's not stress, it's the mental, am I doing it right? And so again,
Totally.
we can start eliminating some of the things, and then this is the part, I think, the body mechanics, if you can make that so Yeah, the key word that you said, and now you remember that as well, is that I could feel it after I took it off.
Sure.
And I think that is the most important thing here, and that makes it a real product to put on, straighten yourself out, get yourself corrected, then take it off and remember that feeling.
Totally.
You can't wear this in a professional game, right? Like
No, but I mean, you can wear it on the golf course, and I've worn it on the golf course. I've worn it doing a lot of things, really, even outside of golf. But I use it in the gym when I'm training. I use it just kind of practicing my swing at certain times, either at home or sometimes between lessons. But I certainly use it on the driving range. Yeah, it's actually quite versatile.
Cool. Well, it's
And like you said, you want to be able to make some of this as automatic as you can. You want to be able to go on the golf course and you want to be able to swing, hit the ball, play, think about the shots. You don't want to have your thoughts running through your mind as far as trying to be perfect with your technique on the golf course. You want to save that technical practice for when you're on the range. So in that regard, as you use the sling trainer more, those things become more learned. You're able to do them more automatically, so that when you go on the golf course, you can put your attention on the things that you really need to put your attention on.
look, I think that sells itself. I mean, it's not even a sale. It's just like you just said it right. Once you see it, it's hard to unsee this. Once you understand it, the body mechanics, it's hard to not understand it. So
Yeah.
if you're not running out to learn this part of your game, I guess you're waiting for the 19th hole to go enjoy the clubhouse.
Yeah, exactly. And that part's fun too. But
Yeah.
I think one of the coolest things too about just really as I've tested it, I've tried to kind of poke holes in it as much as I could, figure out either what it wasn't good at or was it uncomfortable here or where can it be better. I've gotten an opportunity to really have total beginners use it. My mom doesn't play a whole lot of golf. She can swing the club, but she came over, used it, and she hit the driver 100 yards in the air, which was something she would have never really done before.
Wow.
But at the same time, I've had other professionals put this on. And some of the feedback I've gotten from them has been really good as well, as far as, some people in the follow through were like, wow, I've never felt that, or I've never gotten to that position in my follow through, which I think for a good player to say that, I think kind of says a lot, and,
Yeah.
especially in a positive sense when they're saying certain things like
Well,
that. So it was good to get feedback.
I could imagine, again, with any new idea and any new product, there's a lot of skepticism or skeptics out there, right? They're like, I don't know, that looks crazy.
Sure.
Especially the way, again,
It is-
and
it-
now it
yeah.
looks amazing. What you walked in with originally, I couldn't imagine you walking on the golf course
Yeah,
without getting ridiculed
no,
or
definitely.
thrown out, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a little crazy. It's kind of even just crazy to think that it's become a real thing already now. So, but I think in that case, sometimes crazy things can be productive or can
No,
be totally useful. So,
Well, look, I'll certify this is not crazy at all. This has got a lot of deep learning behind it, a lot of mechanical movement that you just couldn't learn without this idea. So,
Sure.
That's why we were so excited about it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to switch a little bit. Let's talk about entrepreneurs. 'Cause I always like to make the second half of this about other people that have ideas. My concept when we started this 10 years ago at 52 Launch was my dad was an entrepreneur. I don't want to have anybody go to their grave. Like I used to hear my dad go, oh, I almost bought that gas station or I almost did this. And, I think there's a lot of ideas that go to the grave. Sure. Because of fear.
Mhm.
And I always said, like in today's world, it's different, right? I have the access to the internet. And a kid today can wake up in the morning with an idea, download some software, do a 3D CAD model or design a tech pack and print it somewhere in the afternoon.
Mhm.
The punch in the face still has to go through a manufacturing process, right? So when you came to us, you had a pretty good proof of concept prototype worked out.
Mhm.
Was there things that we still had to work out with you, like questions you got kind of stuck with and said, I'm not sure how I would do this in this, or I need to improve this?
As far as the product goes, or as
Yeah.
far as just starting the whole business?
No, as far as your product goes, like, was there any refinement that like our team worked with you on to like finish some of the questions you didn't have the ability to make?
Definitely. I mean, as far as making it a product, absolutely. I mean, the design really didn't change that much, at least as far as what I have now.
Mhm.
The bands follow the spiral line, like we've been talking about. And that band really from the get-go has been there the whole time. There were some additional bands that got kind of weeded out as I tested some things. That didn't seem quite as necessary or as functional. And I got a lot of that feedback just from people who were willing to come in. So whether it was students or people that just knew I was teaching over there, they were willing to come in and try it out, which was awesome because I basically had some subjects to put my ideas kind of out there.
Yeah, good.
And certainly to become a product, I think the biggest hurdle, or the first thing we kind of checked off, was the belt, to make that pretty comfortable and seamless. And that was relatively easy, I think, compared to the shoulder piece. The shoulder piece certainly took a lot of work because um, even in my prototype, what I had wasn't very good as far as a shoulder attachment. But the harness that we've come up with and that the design team really helped me with, it's a little bit just like putting a backpack on. It's very simple and it's very comfortable. So, yeah, I think that was probably the trickiest part. And then really kind of nailing in the length and the strength of the band. So as I was able to test it on some people, we tried some different length bands. We tried some different strength bands. The first bands we started with were actually a little bit weaker. I think they were about 15 pounds. And people kind of kept saying that they liked it and it felt good, but that they wanted more feeling and wanted more resistance, really. There were a couple people that, I kind of put people through a standardized test at the beginning just so I didn't have too many variables. And there were some people that got kind of tired towards it, but for the most part, most people were, kind of breezed right through it as far as being physically able to do it. But in that regard, the stronger band, I think, made a lot more sense for most people, where was able to give them a little bit more of a feel, a little bit more awareness,
Yeah.
and therefore build a little bit more strength as well.
Well, that's what the resistance part is for, right? So just having the feel is one thing, but having the resistance to
Exactly.
gain a little strength or understand where you need to. So that
Yeah.
that to me was the brilliant part. I did hear a story this morning, as they were prepping me for the meeting, not to remind me because I'm old, but I didn't know this. But apparently, again, in our as we're growing, we had an issue that we'd never encountered before either, where you were talking about the bands. I guess we had a couple of factories that were also looking at doing this. One in Vietnam and one was in India.
Yep.
And from one of those two countries, something came that the temperature outside, like it was 100, it was a
Yeah.
40 or 48 degree day, and it basically affected
Yes.
everything worked well at the factory, but in transport, the heat got to got to the bands.
Yeah, so it was both a little bit how the band was adhered to the kind of ring that connects to it, but also a little bit of just, the exposure of the band, I think, to some different temperatures. So we had to make some adjustments on really how the band was then connected to the end piece that connects to the harness, because we had some that just kept breaking. So that was certainly a learning curve, and that was a little bit, at least at the time, because they had seemed fine for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden they all just started breaking. But we made some adjustments, and the new bands we have been great. So,
Well, I bring this up because look at the two things that I absolutely appreciate about you guys. Obviously, you guys are such a tight knit family, and I recognize that right away. Second thing is, I have a lot of people that hire us that want to go faster than we can. Like, we go pretty fast.
Sure.
But I don't want to go fast at the point of detriment.
Yeah.
And so that could have been just as easily like a hate you guys conversation. How do you let this happen? And quite frankly, it's part of the process to eliminate, okay, those 2 weeks of testing.
Sure.
We weren't in a detrimental spot yet where it affected your entire inventory.
Sure.
I just try and kind of say that to entrepreneurs, that there is a certain amount of, there's a time where you got to go fast, and there's a time where you have to be patient.
Sure.
And that's same as an athlete. Like I know as a
Yep.
hockey player, you have to know when to pinch or when to like fall back into defensive.
Yeah, tempo and cadence in that regard are important, probably in all
Yeah.
fields. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, I appreciate that. But that was the story I heard this morning. I didn't even know about that. So
Yeah.
I don't know that we have problems, and I don't have to worry about them. That the team just gets some results. So
Yeah, no, and they were great to work with in that regard. I kind of addressed it right away, and we got it taken care of. It certainly took a little bit longer than I expected, but at the same time, I'm pretty patient. So, and I really wanted to do this right and not do it fast.
Yeah.
We started, actually, quite a bit of things at the beginning happened really fast. Those were some of the easier things to get through, probably, but pretty quickly, there were a lot of things that were kind of put in motion. I think the longest part was probably the prototype part, just where we had to make some adjustments. We probably had 6 or 7 prototypes, so that took a little bit of patience. But again, I think to be good at golf, you got to have some patience. And
Well, and this isn't just a product. I mean, there is so much.
Yeah.
For what looks simple now, there's a lot of mechanics in the mechanics
Totally.
of the product that like have to mimic
Totally.
your mechanics. So yeah, no, I don't think we underestimate it. I remember the conversation when we first started, like the foot strap, just like we thought that was going to be the bigger challenge in terms of,
Yeah, that was like the easiest part of it. So
so yeah, I always say that because you just never know what the hard part is.
Yeah.
And you know what? when you hit the hard part, people either get scared, they quit, or they move forward. And I like to think that, again, that's what people hire us for, to move forward. So if those emotions come true, I can't change those, but
Sure.
can we get through them?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, some of it's on my end as well. I mean, during the prototype kind of period, I had broken my foot. So there were some things that I just couldn't test myself. And I really wanted to make sure that whatever we were going to do with this product that I 100% believed in and knew was going to be good. And I knew what it felt like. So there was a little delay there, and a couple other things along the way. But again, I think, yeah, patience was kind of important there. And we kind of ended up really putting a lot of things that had questions, kind of answered those, put them together, and came up with a really nice product.
Yeah. And some of those, I mean, was the solution collaborative, or is it like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I certainly didn't have all the answers. I always have some sort of idea usually, but I'm also more than willing to either hear someone else's idea or, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So I'd much rather get the right answer and move forward versus,
And look,
be
this
stubborn and
is
stick
the
around.
kind of magic, is that, you were always the subject matter expert, clearly in this case.
Yeah.
We know what we know about manufacturing and know how to again, I would say the design team really knows consumer mechanics.
Yeah.
Meaning, how do we design something that a consumer is going to like? And that's really when you take a prototype like yours, that now it has to be redefined in, I love how you said it. We have the same product, but it is now a consumer product.
Yes, and the materials and all that stuff that the whole design team really helped me out with, to make it both durable, strong, but also comfortable, because it is, when you put it on, it's not something that you're not going to notice. You notice it right away, and there's some tension there. So it keeps you honest in that regard, and if you're wearing it, you're going to feel it. So yeah, it was good to be able to make it both useful and comfortable, for a lot of, again, different sizes. So
Yeah, to me, the other word that I remember I put down on the note when it first came in is we also have to make it easy to get in and out of, and that's not complicated.
yes, and so to put it together before, to put it on before with the first model I had, I mean, you probably need 5 to 7 minutes to really both figure out how to put it on and then actually get it on correct. Even at the beginning, I'd put it on wrong a bunch of times. So now there's only 4 pieces to it. You've got foot straps, you got a belt, you have a backpack kind of harness,
And you click it in
and then you
adjust it
just
to
put
your,
the bands right on. So yeah, I mean, you can get in and out of this thing even from the start once you open the box. I mean, there's a card that's gonna kind of instruct you how to put it on. There's a video that's gonna instruct you how to put it on. So that'll give hopefully everyone some guidance. But I mean, you can get in it right out of the box in just 90 seconds to 2 minutes. At least for mine, the one that I use, I don't have to make any adjustments. It's just already set for me. So the shoulder piece is adjustable, the belt is adjustable, the foot straps are adjustable. And mine's kind of already in a position where I can just sort of slip it on and let
right, once you adjust it once, you can put it in.
yeah, certainly if people are using the same unit of different sizes, you might have some adjustments to make. So,
Just to help you out, I'm going to recommend everyone buy their own, even if you've got multiple people in the family, because it is the adjustability. Yeah, I don't want to wait for, my friend to come down with my pair of skis.
totally.
Let me get down on my own.
Yeah, you'd like to have your own. At the same time, as a coach, I understand that at times, if you're a coach and, coaches at times, great, a lot of us end up trying certain training aids or getting certain training aids, even if it's just to kind of see what it's about and that sort of thing. So, I mean, if you're a coach and you have one of these, and therefore you can use it with multiple people, it is nice to have that adjustability. But to your point, I'd much rather have my own. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. All right, so you're a pro golfer. You're now you've exceeded inventor. You're now an entrepreneur, when you got a business. A 12-year-old kid looking at you and that has an idea. What would you recommend to the past you growing up as the future you to how do they get through where you are?
I'd probably say number one, curiosity. I probably wouldn't have stumbled upon any of this if I wasn't curious about it. And just ask questions. And I think really if you ask questions and you put 100% in and you're curious about something, are you going to come up exactly with what I've come up with? Maybe not, but at least if you have an idea, you can make a little bit of progress or some momentum. And, I guess I certainly never when I was 12, I certainly wouldn't have envisioned myself coming out with a product. And even when I first started doing it, I think the reality of it being a product probably wasn't really in my mind, actually, like a thing that could really happen. But here we are, I guess. So yeah, curiosity and a lot of hard work.
When did that moment just decide that I'm going to make a product? Like, was that
It's a good
was that
question.
you and your dad, or was that like?
I think it was really after that discussion I mentioned with my friend Nick Pandelena. He's a coworker. He teaches at the same place that I teach. We've been friends for a long time and played a lot of golf growing up. He's a little bit older than me, so I was a member at my course, and he was a member there as well. So that's kind of how I met him. But yeah, really after we had that, we had like a long conversation about it. I had a headache afterwards. I never get a headache, but I can remember, I mean, I hadn't even it was, I usually eat around like noontime. I'll have lunch, and I mean, it was like 3 or 4 o'clock, and I hadn't eaten. We were just going. I had a headache by the end, but we had just kind of stumbled upon a lot of it, tinkered around with it, and it was just kind of that curiosity. And then it was like, well, it seems to actually be pretty good if it's helping me and it feels good. As a coach, not that I felt the responsibility necessarily, but I felt pretty intrigued to know, like, can this actually help other people do what I think it's doing? And especially where it was helping me, it made a lot of sense to at least try.
Yeah, look, I always tell people that the telltale sign is when someone says this did something for me, like that I liked.
Mhm.
That's a pretty good indicator you've got a product.
Yeah.
And the other one is when someone says, "Where can I get one?" or "Can I buy yours?"
Sure.
Right? Even if it's the prototype. And those are the two things that I just say that means someone's willing to write a check or give you money for it, and they're serious about it.
Yeah.
And if they're serious about it, there is a ton of other people. Or that would be my next exploration. Is like, how many other people are like that? In golf, it's pretty easy.
Totally. And, as this has looked more like a product, I've gotten a lot more of the, hey, what is that? Where can I get one? Where, that sort of thing, versus at the beginning, it was kind of like, what the heck is that?
Now you can answer that question. Where can they get one?
Exactly. Yeah. So
Go to pandagolf.com. Is that where we're at?
yeah, the site will be pandagolf.com. The product's called the Sling Trainer. We'll have some apparel on there. We'll have some t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, quarter zips, and some different stuff with the logo and the brand on it.
Yeah, I'd buy it just for that. But
It's pretty good looking stuff.
Man, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is. So is that? I know you came to us with the name. Did we help design that logo? I mean, I know it's
Yeah. This is the logo you guys designed. They gave me a bunch to pick from. I really like this one overall.
freaking awesome.
Yeah, no, I think it came out great, and I've gotten some really good feedback on it as well. The name just came from basically the LLC that my dad and I had set up years ago. So I kind of already had the name, and my nickname's been Panda forever. So that's kind of been there, and so yeah, it worked out nice.
The gentle panda bear.
Yeah.
Teaching everybody how to golf.
Yeah.
Well, look, I think it's been a fantastic podcast. I am so excited for you and your family and everybody else that's been part of this journey to get this launched. I can't wait to see everybody using it. Can't wait to step on a golf course and see the exo. What do we call it? It's not skeletal, but the connective tissue. There we go.
Correct. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, and thanks for helping with this whole process. It's been, I really wouldn't have had any other way to be able to create this sort of thing. I just happened to, James Driscoll, who's a guy that has done some work with you guys as well in the past, I think, with some products, and he happened to mention you guys to me at the time that I was just kind of coming up with some of this. So
but now I can see. I mean, you two are just two fantastic people. So
yeah, James is awesome. He's helped me out a lot. He's been great too.
We met
a long time.
We had like 5 interns one summer, and we had a little golf product, and someone, I don't know, reached out to him, just on DM'd him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, he was here the next day. He was talking to 5 of my interns. I walk in, I'm like, who's this guy? And they filmed him coming in. Like, I had no idea. That's how I met it. That's amazing. And
that's not surprising.
What a great guy.
He was the same way with me. He's been, we spent a little time together practicing and stuff like that. And it was his suggestion that really led me to reach out to you guys through the website. And I appreciate all the help and everything you guys have done to really make this.
Look, man, that makes my heart sing. I'm glad we were able to help. I'm glad we're at this point. And look, I'm going to put a shout out for you. Again, anybody that's out there, inventor, entrepreneur, it's your pay it forward moment. Go to pandagolf.com. Even if you never use it, buy it just to support an entrepreneur. If you use it, share it with your friends, tell them about it. Don't give it to them, make them buy another one so we could support like the whole part now is like, let's help an entrepreneur grow this business to where it can go. And I'm absolutely going to help you do that.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah, you can't lend yours out because then someone else is going to change your settings in your site.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's why
they'll have to get their own.
we got it covered.
Yeah.
But man, pleasure.
Thank you very
So
much.
much. All right. Enjoy. Guys, thank you very much for watching and look forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.